Okay, here we are. Hello everyone. How's it going with everybody? I know it's lockdown period. Extension कितने लोगों का हुआ है? पर मैं सुना है कोई cities में it's sort of relaxed. So how's it going with everyone? What's happening with you all? मुंबई सिटी, पुणे सिटी, कंप्लीट लॉकडाउन. तो हम फिलहाल घर से बाहर नहीं निकल सकते. आपके लिए बहुत सारा कंटेंट नहीं बना सकते. बट डेफिनेटली व्हाट वी कैन डू इज गेट यू न्यूज फ्रॉम स्ट्रेट फ्रॉम द हॉर्सेस माउथ. और वही हम आज भी करने वाले हैं. वी विल हैव समवन रियली स्पेशल टू जॉइन इन विद अस ऑनलाइन. और आज हमारे गेस्ट रहेंगे फ्रॉम टाटा इलेक्ट्रिक. एनीवेज, बिफोर आई गेट in the person online with us, let's get a lot more people online today. मेरे पर्सनल चैनल पे जो लाइव सेशन होता है दैट इज बीन पेंडिंग फॉर अ वाइल, और ये वीक थोड़ा मुश्किल है फॉर मी टू डू दैट. वी विल डू दैट नेक्स्ट वीक. जिन लोगों ने मुझे मैसेज लिखा है अबाउट दैट बिट, लेट्स सी हाउ मेनी पीपल आर कमिंग ऑनलाइन. क्वाइट अ फ्यू. तो अभी मैं आपके सवालों के जवाब तब तक दे दूंगा जब तक हमारे गेस्ट ऑनलाइन आते हैं हमारे साथ. सो लेट्स सी हाउ मेनी पीपल हैव एनी क्वेश्चंस. ओह, क्वाइट अ फ्यू. चलो, आवर गेस्ट इज नाउ गोइंग टू बी ऑनलाइन विद अस एंड हियर इट इज. How about Kicks 2020? Hello Anand,
Hello.
how are you?
Hi Rachit. How are you?
I'm good. बहुत अच्छा लगा आपको देख के. After the Nexon EV launch, आज मिल रहा हूँ आपको मैं. At least वो भी that too. We don't stay too far. You're based in Pune, I'm in Navi Mumbai. उसके उसके बावजूद we are meeting through the technology world.
Yeah, I had a incoming call. Sorry.
No sweat, no sweat. मैं ये कह रहा था, you stay in Pune, I'm based in Navi Mumbai. ज़्यादा distance नहीं है, but we have to meet through a technology platform rather than meeting in person. But
So true. So true.
that's the situation. अभी कुछ कर नहीं सकते ज़्यादा.
Yeah, I
So
agree. Completely agree.
so
Yeah.
जिन लोगों को नहीं पता है, आनंद is one of the main guys behind the Tata Electric Mobility. Everything, rather, I'll say, from product development till the final product comes in, is one of his main roles यहाँ पे. तो सर मुझे ये बताओ, Nexon EV has been there in the market now. क्या response रहा है लोगों का so far?
Well, the response is fantastic. People are very kicked up about the performance that it gives. People are very happy about the refinement levels that we've been able to bring in. And most importantly, Rachit, I think we've been able to break a myth that EVs are expensive. So people are actually very pleased that it's a EV that is now in the affordable range. And there are a lot of people who are wanting to drive one and hopefully own as well. So we are looking forward to all this lockdown, everything getting over so that we can get back roaring.
Before I actually ask you any questions, since you mentioned it has been made available across, someone randomly asked the question, is it coming to Nepal anytime soon?
No, I wouldn't be able to answer that. First,
Okay.
we have to see what we are doing in India. Let's first get over this entire thing about the lockdown, which sort of, was rather unfortunate. But we'll answer that question a little later. I can't say anything about that at the moment.
Sure. So the first question is, Nexon EV आपने scratch से बनाया है. I mean,
Yeah,
it was not meant to be a platform जहाँ पे EV था पहले.
right.
It was conventionally a petrol diesel platform. So what were the challenge you faced to build it? And initially was it like कि नहीं बन पाएगा or anything that way ever? Did you face anything like that?
No. I think let's understand it this way. There are two broad ways in which you develop an electric vehicle, and like you said, the first one is when you already have a vehicle that is available to you, and which is basically called the conversion approach. And the second one is when you start making it from scratch. Now, in the conversion approach, you essentially have a donor vehicle that is available. So there's an IC engine sibling, so to say, which is already available, which lends itself to being used or being converted into an electric car. Now, in any process of conversion, before I get into what the challenges were or what the challenges are, let me say that today uh, both the approaches are equally prevalent. So most people so far have been doing electric cars based on the earlier availability of a donor vehicle, and there are some people who have now started to do a grounds up EV, so to say. So, in any conversion EV program, the challenges would be, first of all, you have to select which would be your donor vehicle, because you can't just randomly pick any vehicle that you have uh, and do a good job out of it. So the choice of donor vehicle is one challenge, because you need to choose a vehicle that has the right aspirational value or that can retain or enhance the image when it is converted into an EV vehicle. Now, in our case, for example, we had a singular advantage that the Nexon was already a good aspirational vehicle that was already available. It had an image of its own, its safety credentials and everything was very well established. So this did not pose too much of a problem. The second problem that you can have is, or the second challenge that you can have, I would say, is in the choice of powertrains, for example, because a large number of choices are available, Rachit. And so the selection has to be made extremely carefully, because when you are trying to integrate this entire powertrain into a vehicle that already exists, you want to be careful about how you choose the hard points, how you manage the rest of the components getting into it, how you manage, because there are certain things which you cannot change in that. For example, there are mounting systems. These are structural points. So you need to be able to package that in. You need to see how the rest of the components fit in. All of this has to be done in a way that it does not intervene with the vehicular performance and, more importantly, the crash performance, because you don't want in an electric vehicle, the engine compartment is less occupied. So you don't want crash performances to be affected. The third challenge I would think in terms of a conversion program is in terms of battery choices, because today the batteries are a very, very complex area. You can have batteries of all shapes, sizes, formats, chemistries, you name what, and you can get a battery. So how do you get a battery which packages enough energy in the right way underneath the floor of a vehicle which already exists? So you should not have too much of ground clearance impact, because you want to have a certain capacity. You cannot reduce on capacity, because then you are playing with range. You also want to make sure that the connection points on the floor are correct, so that it
Actually,
does
as
not
coming to your
intervene.
question only, as coming वही part पे कि एक तो
हाँ.
अगर आप बैटरीज डालते हो, पहला तो आपका वेट बढ़ जाता है compared to a normal petrol and diesel car. Second problem ये हो जाता है कि many times there are decisions that has to be made कि इसका ground clearance कम कर देते हैं अभी. So you know, these are two of the biggest challenges I feel. एक existing petrol car या diesel car पे काम करे तो होता है. So
Correct.
weight के साथ does it mean you had to really boost up the motor power also to that level, or you think can you cut down on battery weight somehow?
So overall, see what happens is, if you're comparing your weight vis-a-vis a IC engine sibling, then you are clearly looking at some elimination of some heavyweight components, and then of course the battery and the powertrain comes in. Now, typically the engine and the transmission together will weigh anywhere between 160 to 180 kilograms on an IC engine, depending upon what kind of engine you are using. You take that off, and then you have a battery which comes in. Also, there are some other parts like the exhaust systems go off, some other attachments in the engine compartment which go off. So all put together, the weight of the vehicle increases. Net weight of the vehicle would increase, but it would not increase to a very, very large extent. So in the case of Nexon, for example, we've been able to manage the weight increase to, let's say, around 100 kilograms.
Okay.
And the way that the battery has been mounted is that the balance on the car, the chassis balance on the car that we've been able to maintain, it's actually 50-50 front and rear. So
Oh,
that's
wow. That's
the kind
ideal.
of balance that you would always dream of, right?
Correct.
And what has also happened is because the battery sits underneath the floor, it's actually lowered the center of gravity by about 35-40 millimeters. So that gives you actually a better stability, more control, more planted feel as the vehicle drives on the roads.
Wow. So today, what is the DC charger are you all recommending to put on the car? If let's say there are multiple DC chargers available, not too many, but whatever is available, is there a limit कि ये power तक ही हम इसे charge कर सकते हैं? Like there are some which are 50 kilowatt. From what there are some 30 also, and globally there are 75, 100, 200. I don't know. The number goes big. So I'm just thinking, आज के तारीख में क्या आपका कोई ऐसा नंबर है सेट कि ये नंबर के ऊपर आप चार्ज नहीं करो अपनी बैटरी को? So I'm just thinking 5 years down the line, जब maybe we have 100 or 200 kilowatt chargers in India, would that affect the battery in terms of charging?
So I could give you an easy answer and I could give you a long-winded explanation. So
Okay.
you have to tell me what is it that you
Okay.
want.
So what is the limit up to which a DC charger could be used on the Nexon right now?
So we could use a charger even up to 50 kilowatt. That is absolutely
Okay.
not a problem because and this is where the easy answer finishes and the explanation has to come in, because this is not so much determined by the charger as it is also this is a interplay between what is the maximum rate at which your batteries can accept charge.
Correct.
Okay, vis-a-vis what is your size of the battery, vis-a-vis what is the charger. So, I like to often give this example of, the charger being a large tank which can discharge water at a certain rate, and the charge into your, or the pipe that goes into your home is a certain size. So, as long as you do not have a problem of the pipe that runs into your home, you can have whatever charge you want. It is not controlled by the charger. It is controlled by the C rates on your battery.
So technically, in simple words, अगर मैं कहूँ अगर हमने इसको 100 kilowatt charger भी लगाया, it will still take in 50 kilowatt hour. That means the cost.
No. That's not how it is. So the charger can be of a certain capacity, but the car will accept it depending upon what is the configuration within the car.
Okay.
Right? And therefore, and this is so for all electric vehicles. Let's not make it specific only to Nexon. It's whether you take any other electric vehicle, it will always be the same. So if your cells are of a certain rating and if your battery is of a certain capacity, a 1C charging, okay, the C rate of a battery means, a 1C means that you will be able to charge the battery fully or discharge the battery fully in 1 hour.
Okay.
Okay. Now you can't push more than that. So let us say that there is a battery of 50 kilowatt hour and it has a 1C charging rate. You can push 50 kilowatt hour only in 1 hour. Now, if you have a charger that is 25, the constraint will be the charger, and you will take 2 hours to charge the car. But let's say you have a 100 kilowatt charger. The constraint will now become the vehicle because it can only accept at the rate of 50 kilowatt hour. Therefore, even though the charger is 100 kilowatt hour, you can't charge it in 30 minutes. You'll still need an hour.
Okay. See, that's what I'm saying. अगर आपका 100 भी रहा आप चार्ज करोगे तो भी वो 50 पे ही चार्ज करेगा उसको. It will not go above that.
Correct.
Okay. So, does DC charging actually affect your battery life? Let's say I've bought a Nexon, for example. आपने मेरे घर के नीचे AC fast charger लगा दिया, लेकिन मैं चाहता हूँ कि मैं हर बार DC से ही करूँ, always. So, does that affect my battery in any way?
So it is common wisdom that fast charging will lead to a slightly faster deterioration in the batteries, and this happens because there is heat, more heat is generated, And typically what we do is we try and make sure that we don't continuously pump very high speed currents. Uh, uh, Basically, what happens is when you do high speed charging, you are essentially pushing more current into the battery, which will create more heat because of internal elements, the resistive nature of internal elements, including the cells. So we therefore employ different solutions like a cooling system. Also, we employ an algorithm which reduces the charging current as the battery voltages start to rise. So the charging current is not constant. Having
Okay.
said all that, as I said earlier, while it is common wisdom to faster charging or DC charging will cause a slight degradation, deterioration in the battery performance, in most cases it is not significant. Yeah.
So it's very
Uh,
less कि पता भी नहीं चलेगा technically.
हाँ,
After
मतलब it
maybe
would
4-5
probably
साल बाद पता चलेगा.
correct, correct. And you, what you would lose is probably 2 or 3%, not a great lot. And however, having said that, Rachit, I would want to also advise that it is always better to also slow charge the batteries intermittently for the simple reason that batteries get an opportunity to rebalance themselves properly. Because when you do fast charge, when you push charge faster, then there can sometimes be a case of cell imbalances. And when you do slow charging, the batteries get this opportunity to rebalance themselves, and therefore you have more consistency, more efficiency of the batteries.
But slow charge मतलब AC fast charge या wall socket charge?
It is AC. It can be AC fast charge or wall socket charge, either of them.
Okay, okay. One more question. Actually, I'm taking a question abhi from the audience. They have a question कि lockdown चल रहा है, so technically, how do you maintain an electric car? I can add some points. You can help me here.
Sure.
Simple is basically what I feel is the mechanical part of the car, like brakes and all that, need to be utilized well. Is what I feel. Like
Correct.
you can switch on the car, maybe do a round in your building and park it again. Is what I feel one way for
Absolutely.
electric. But is there anything else a person should look at?
So we recommend that you should sort of make sure that you do not have any auxiliaries which have been turned on accidentally.
Okay.
One thing is that,
Okay.
because what
Okay.
happens is if you're not keeping it on charge, then the main battery can keep charging your aux battery, which runs the auxiliary, and then you can have a flat battery. The second thing is you should always keep your battery charged to a certain level, which is about 50 to 75%. And like you rightly said, Rachit, for the mechanical parts, it is always advisable to take the car out and sort of make sure that the moving parts don't sort of lock up because of long stay at a certain location.
Sure, sure. So, I mean, so far what I've seen is everyone has an SUV right now in the electric space, at least
Hmm.
with 300 plus kilometer range, everyone. Uh,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
there will be a time when everyone will want to get onto hatchbacks. What is the biggest challenge to, get electric technology onto a hatchback, specifically with a good range and make it affordable?
So it's like this. Hatchbacks, first of all, are small footprint. Yeah. So as compared to larger vehicles, hatchbacks are small footprints. So you would need to sort of packaging a very high level of battery capacity can sometimes become a challenge. The second challenge that you could also have is, hatchbacks have a certain price point, and when you electrify them, if you want to give them a good aspirational performance, then the increase in the cost of that vehicle, uh, if you take a factor of what it is with respect to the base hatchback, that factor becomes significantly high. And as you know, already electric vehicles tend to sort of I mean, people tend to get put off because of the high initial investment. That factor becomes a little bit more challenging to meet, because as with the Nexon EV, for example, we have realized that when the cars are at 1.3x, 1.25x of their IC engines sibling, then it immediately starts to make good business sense for a lot of people because of the low cost of operation. But if this were to grow to, a 1.6, 1.7, then you would start to have problems. Now, the other way to do is it, you could reduce the range, but then it again starts to bring on the other fear of range anxiety. So that spot is a slight challenge today with hatchbacks, but we see that going forward with battery prices coming down or some additional technology parts coming in, it should be possible to make hatchbacks also interesting.
But you think the hatchbacks will have a bigger impact than what the SUVs have today?
So this is not going to be any different than what happens in IC engine, because this is
Okay.
purely use case based. Let's say your question is, will there be a preference of a body style for EVs? I think the preference for body style goes out of or comes out of the fact that what is your use case. So let's, for example, look at what is happening today. Let's say there is a fleet car, a radio cab, and they have a fixed route of operation. Or even if it is a corporate car, then you would have a very fixed route of where to operate, which then gives them the ability to have accurate determination of where the charge points are and how long does it take while they are running and how long are they idle. So an electric car becomes eminently useful. Now, what car would they prefer? They would probably prefer a sedan, because it gives them the required comfort, B, it comes at a great price, and C, it gives them exactly the range that meets their use cases. But for somebody who's a corporate guy and who wants to flaunt and who's always been who's been exposed to the bigger and better EVs, who wants to also stay connected, for him a SUV would be the right image vehicle. So it all depends on the use case. I don't think electric vehicle as such will distinguish between a body style. So we need to understand that.
Okay. Okay. So I'm just pulling out a question from a reader. He
Right.
says Tata Motors is providing 8 years of warranty on the motor and the battery.
Yes.
What about the PCBs or electronics which tend to get toast easily,
So,
and
oh, okay.
and they are actually very costly to get a new one? What about them?
So the 8-year warranty is provided on the electric architecture, electric powertrain, which also includes its controllers, which also includes the DC-DC converter, and as well as the battery, because these are by far the most expensive parts in a car. And that the 8-year, 1,60,000 kilometers warranty is specifically for that. So that should allay any fears.
Okay, there's one more interesting question which I thought we should take for sure. It is from Utsav. He's asking, would there be any kind of software update on the Nexon where the range can go up?
No, I wouldn't be able to answer that straight away. We
Okay.
keep looking at efficiencies, but there is no straight answer to that right now.
Okay. One more question from the audience, from EV Char to India. They want to know if there's any way they can monitor the battery voltage remotely on the Nexon.
So battery voltages can't be monitored. What we do give customers the ability to monitor is the state of charge of the battery. And that's more relevant because unless you knew how to convert the voltage on the battery to a percentage, it really would not make much sense to a lot of people. So we are with the Z Connect app that we have on the car, we are going to give we are giving today the ability to monitor SOC, the state of charge on the battery.
I think these are a lot of challenges that people are facing with electric cars. What do you think are the most common ones people have? So we can sort of answer that.
I would say, in terms of the challenges, there are a lot of myths around the electric vehicle still. And unless we bust, I really look forward to these kind of sessions because it helps me interact with people and maybe break some myths, bust some myths. But one of the biggest myths that we all need to break is that EVs have poor range. Now, in reality, most people do not drive more than the range of their EVs, yeah,
Correct.
on a daily basis. And in many cases, for example, the range provided in cars today is equivalent to a week's drive for most people. Now,
Okay.
in fact, the range is quite adequate for a Pune-Mumbai run. And before the lockdown, I used to travel to Bombay whenever I went to Bombay House for meetings in an EV, and it used to be damn comfortable. A drive in the morning, a drive in the evening, back again. So there was absolutely no problem. The second problem that people have is with the location of the charger and the charger network. Now, this is another anxiety which is, as you know, associated with range. And with Tata Power, we are setting up a very strong network of fast chargers in various cities within the country. There is a fear that EVs aren't durable. It's a new technology. So there is always, with a rapidly evolving technology, there is always a fear of obsolescence or a fear of being left behind. What if something new comes up? What if my car then fails? So I want to say that EVs are absolutely durable. The electric motors, the drives, the batteries have long life. They're all tested to make sure that durability isn't a problem. Rachit, today we have a IP67 battery which can sustain floods and wade through water. In fact, for wading through water, an electric car could be better off as compared to an IC engine car. So uh, that goes there. Then there is a fear that if there is a technology obsolescence, then what about my costs of maintenance and what about the cost of sustenance? Again, in that case, EVs win because the cost of running a vehicle is up to sometimes one-fourth, one-fifth the cost of a ICE engine vehicle, and therefore there is absolutely no problem with that. And lastly, I think there is a perception that EVs lack performance. And the reason for that is the cars that most people in our country have been experiencing. They've been very functional vehicles so far. I think with the new breed of vehicles that have been launched, including the Nexon EV, that myth has been busted for sure. We can now boast of a performance which is better than equivalent IC engine cars, and it is seamless, noiseless, refined. So I think as more people get used to cars, there haven't been too many cars around, right? So where do people get to see this and break their myths? So as more cars get around, people get to see more cars. I think gradually this perception will change, and these challenges will hopefully drop down.
I agree to you completely. The pointers you have said are very valid, and actually, I did one drive from Bombay to Pune myself in an electric car. It was not a
Hmm.
Tata, तभी launch नहीं हुआ था.
Hmm.
But my thought was पहुंचूंगा कि नहीं. And when I
Hmm.
did it, I was left with 45 or 50% charge more about. And I was like, ये तो
Correct.
अभी इसमें मैं वापस भी चला जाऊंगा घर. So technically, what you have said is correct. And ये लोगों के दिमाग में कहीं फंसा हुआ है कि इलेक्ट्रिक गाड़ी है मतलब बंद हो जाएगी रास्ते में, पावर नहीं रहेगा,
So
which
that
is
doesn't happen. Yeah.
absolutely incorrect.
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay, I have actually a lot of questions from people about EV, which I've never thought about also. They've asked some
Okay.
questions like this. I will ask some of them, pass it on here. One second. Okay. What kind of high voltage cable used in Nexon, and how it protected against rat bite, as short circuit high voltage system is dangerous?
Okay. So this is a question that we get very often. This is a very
Okay.
valid fear. So first of all, I want to tell you that all these high voltage cables they have a sheath, and so they can't be bitten into. But having said that, we've also taken extra precaution to make sure that, first of all, you need to take precautions during the design itself to ensure that there is no location where a rat can sort of settle down and try and nibble away at the wires. So we've done that. The second thing is to provide adequate protection at relevant points so that you don't have issues. In essence, making sure that we have a absolutely safe, rat-free, nibble-free experience.
Okay, that's quite interesting. I never thought of that.
No,
There's
this is
one
a
more.
common question that people ask.
One more interesting.
This is a very valid fear. Okay,
Okay,
go on.
one
Yeah.
more very interesting question is from Rajesh. His question is, if we keep the AC on second level and we
Mhm.
put the headlamps on low beam, how much can our range increase with that?
So I presume he's asking as compared to what if I put the headlamps on fully and what
Correct.
if I kept the
AC
AC
full.
on. Yeah, so I would think that the you need to look at it this way. The AC blower and the headlamps are all running on a 12-volt system, right? They are not on the high voltage system, and they will therefore typically the consumption is it depends on how long you run it. But if you are running it for a quick drive in and around the city and things of that sort, the difference in the range that you would get would typically not be more than about 7 or 8 kilometers. Now, it is another matter if you switched off the AC completely, because then you are also stopping the compressor from running. Then you could get an additional range of about 20-25 odd kilometers.
Wow, that talks a lot. There's one more interesting question from Rish, Rish.pwr. His question is, I'm traveling from one location to another, and that location, let's say, does not have a charging point. So, is there any way to get a portable charger to that location?
So with the Nexon EV, it is possible to charge with a standard 15 amp plug, right? So
Hmm.
you have so long as your connection from where you will pick up the charge is properly grounded and the connection itself is not a little dodgy, you can charge off regular 15 amp plugs from anywhere that you go to, and that's the flexibility that you will be able to have. And therefore you have charging cable is always provided with the vehicle, and there you go, the portable charger is available.
Okay. One more interesting question that has come out is basically from Pulkit. I think this is a very simplistic question, asking about if my warranty is over after 8 years and my something happens to my motor, then what do I do in that case? I feel that's more like asking my engine warranty is over and my engine stops working, so what do I do?
Yeah, so it's the same treatment that would happen for IC engine vehicles, I suppose.
Okay, okay. Actually, there are too many questions coming in, and first I'll ask a few more of mine before
Okay.
before time runs out. Uh, Basically, what is that one thing that EV buyers are? Why are EV buyers picking up an EV over a petrol? I'm talking purely the guys who have bought a Nexon EV today already. What is the major reason why they are buying an EV?
So the kind of people that we look at who are interested in the EV is people who are aware, people who have traveled, and people who have seen other EVs in other markets. But also a lot of these people are conscious about the environment. They are conscious about they are keen on doing something for the environment, and this is their way of trying to make sure that their carbon footprint is minimum possible. A lot of these people also are looking at the refinement levels that EV will provide, which cannot be given by any other car. Yeah, because the kind of smoothness of drive, the linearity of drive, and the quietness, the refinement, is something that you can't just beat. It takes you a couple of days to get used to it, but I promise you that once you get used to it, it would be difficult to switch back to a standard IC engine.
So that actually happened with me. What you have mentioned, that happened with me. Recently did a drive. We drove from Mumbai to Delhi in an electric car. Now I returned the car and I got into driving a diesel car, and I'm like, this is so noisy, so much.
Yeah, it is a
I
different
felt,
experience. It's a different
yeah.
experience.
So I really felt that thing. What you exactly meant here. So
Hmm.
I completely agree on that part. Uh, One more very interesting question. I can't skip this. Uh,
Okay.
it's from Thakur Anupam Chauhan. He's saying that the Nexon EV is IP67 rated, which
Correct.
means for 30 minutes, if the car is underwater, the batteries are fine. But what if it's a flood situation? Then in that case, what happens to the batteries?
So let's. I want to sort of qualify that answer. First of all, when we say IP67, there is a timing and there is also a level of water, right? So an IP67 is when you have a submergence of 1 meter. So that's the head of water that stands on it. And please note that it is 1 meter over the battery. So it's probably over the roof of the car. So your car is completely submerged, and then within half an hour it can withstand for half an hour. Now, assuming that it's a flood-like situation, and you have to go away for 2 or 3 days or whatever, until the water recedes. There are internal protection circuits within the batteries, which make sure that you do not have short circuits within the batteries, even if, let's say, water were to leak inside. There are fail-safe mechanisms. So this is not going to be a situation where if you stand next to the car, you will experience a shock. So there are protection circuits inside.
Okay, 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 okay. Pretty interesting. I never thought on that. I thought IP67 means completely waterproof. Okay, one question which I felt somehow not done much by most of the automakers is that the lithium battery efficiency decreases when it heats up. Similarly, there's a reduction in the efficiency when the temperatures are very low. So there are already cooling packs in a battery. Why not? Like I think only Tesla is the one who offers a heating pack also on the battery. Is heating pack a feasible choice for Indian market?
So let's look at the conditions in which the Tesla has to operate. The Tesla operates primarily in the North American markets.
Correct.
Temperatures there in winter can go down to as much as -15, -20 degrees centigrade. India, by comparison, has a much more equable temperature band. So our temperatures, unless you really go into some remote places of the Himalayas, rarely go down below -5 degrees centigrade even in winter, and that too it is for a short period. So the choice of batteries also depends on which type of market or which climatic conditions are you wanting to launch them. So the straightforward answer to your question, is it possible? The answer is yes, it is possible. Is it required? Apart from a few areas, not required. Cooling the batteries is probably more required for a hot climate market like India. That's more critical rather than the heating of the batteries.
True that. One more very interesting thing I've learned is that so I started DC fast charging a car because I thought that's the easiest thing to do at that point of time. That time the rate was about 17 rupees or 16 rupees per minute.
Kilowatt hour.
Yeah,
Per
per
minute.
minute. Per minute.
Oh,
Per
okay.
minute. Per
Per
minute.
minute. Okay.
Fortum is 16 rupees per minute is what I'd seen. But
Okay.
when I started doing my trip, halfway through, it dropped to 14 rupees per minute.
Oh, okay.
So do you think when many of these DC fast charging setups come in, would the price go down of DC fast charging, or they will have to retain such a number?
So look at it this way. Look at it from a business perspective of the guy who's wanting to set up the equipment. There are two types of costs. There is the hardware cost of the charger itself, and then there is a installation plus maintenance plus the tax and rentals or whatever that, and the land costs.
And the
So the electricity itself. So let's assume for a moment that the electricity is going to be a constant throughout over a period of time. Now, the rates of the hardware, which is the charger itself, are going down over a period of time. But then the rest of the expenses, that's of the land, the maintenance, the permits, taxes, etc., that will and also the site inspection, the project management for that particular site, that will probably keep on increasing to a certain extent. What is more important is as the volume of electric cars goes up and the utilization of these chargers happens more and more, uh, your rates of utilization will definitely drop down. So when utilization rates of chargers go beyond 25 to 30%, you can start to see a reduction in the charging rates, and that
Okay.
will definitely happen.
Okay. So one more thing is that these DC chargers. I mean, everyone says that you can just set up one DC charger. You can set up every petrol pump should have one DC fast charger. What is the real challenge to set up a DC fast charger?
So honestly, today the problem would be in terms of how much utilization would you have, because you know there's a certain amount of investment that is going in, and then you need to have a return on those investments. When you don't
Correct.
have too many cars, then who's going to charge their vehicles? And much as we like it, the DC fast chargers are our way of security, saying that if I get out of my home and if I need a charger, it should be available. But in reality, a lot of charging still happens at home.
Correct.
So utilization of these chargers is going to be a very very critical point. And for that, Rachit, I think we as a country, we as a automotive society, we need more data of all these vehicles which are going out. What are the behavior patterns? How are people charging their vehicles? If they, how many of them charge at home? How many of them are using it outside? What routes do they use? Where are these chargers going to be optimally used? All of this requires a lot of information and data, which is still coming in.
And
Still early days
surprisingly,
that way.
people are still, I mean, India has not seen the concept of DC slow charging yet, is what I feel. That 15
Hmm.
kilowatt hour, which can be somewhere a sweet spot to not wait too long and also
Correct,
get your
correct,
bills more affordable. India still not seen that. Maybe because DC charging setup itself is so expensive today to get it out, get that connection of DC fast charger or just DC connection itself is difficult.
correct,
I feel that could be
correct.
one of the primary reasons.
Yeah.
Very good questions from Rajesh. Is there anything different in terms of servicing an electric vehicle compared to a petrol car or a diesel car?
So yes, it is because A is you do not need frequent oil changes. You do not need a filter change. Uh, you do not need a timing setting adjustment or those kind of things. But otherwise, the wear rates on electric cars for various components tends to be pretty much lower. So between service intervals, the amount of wearables or consumables, as we call it, that you change service are also going to be far fewer. So your quick service check to the dealer or to the workshop is going to be only about making sure that all your softwares are properly proper, and there is absolutely no other problems in terms of the mechanical fitment and other things, and that's it.
So it's much more cheaper because I think
Correct,
oil change itself is about $1,000. No, not thousand. If it's synthetic oil, it's $1,000 a liter. So say
correct,
about 4 liters consume 4,000 is straight away saved there
correct,
in the
correct.
cost itself of
Yeah.
service. Anupam, I think he's a serious car buyer in EV or he loves EVs because his next question comes out is EVs in India is a great idea, but at the moment I think he's based in Delhi. He's saying the CCS2 chargers are fairly limited right now in Delhi. So is anything being done from the company prospect on this from Tata Motors or Tata Group on infrastructure charging, at least in the NCR region?
So, as I said earlier, and I will repeat that, Tata Power, which is a group company, is looking at setting up a network of fast chargers across the country. They already have about 150 on the ground in various cities. And the plan was to get to around 300 chargers soon, but I think some of their plans have been delayed because of the recent lockdown and other things. But their plans are to get to about 600, or their initial plans were to get to about 600 odd chargers by the end of this financial year. So you will find that this network comes up. The government itself is Also, setting up a charging network. Secondly, at all Tata Motors dealerships also, which handle and manage electric vehicles, we will have chargers.
So they will be chargeable or free if it's at a Tata dealership.
So at a Tata dealership, if it is if the car has gone for service, of course it won't be chargeable. But for if you want to go and use that access that charger, it will be chargeable. Of course, the rates could be slightly different than what you would normally get outside.
Of course. But would that mean AC and DC both chargers will be available, or you're saying only DC?
So these are DC chargers.
And okay, and okay, I get
These
it.
are fast chargers. Yeah.
One very interesting question. Actually, there are too many questions. I can't resist myself from asking you them only. Uh, if you can fit aftermarket accessories in Nexon EV, is that possible?
So it depends on what kind of accessories you want to fit. We would recommend not to tamper or tinker with the electrical systems, ideally, because that's the last thing that you would want to do. By the way, the car comes equipped with a host of features, most of them which are very, very interesting to a lot of people. And we think we've taken care within the versions to make sure that most of the choices that people would want to exercise are already available. So we wouldn't recommend sort of going after aftermarket fitments, which interfere with the wiring circuits of the car.
Okay. Okay. So technically anything like they can change the alloy wheel design if they want to.
Correct. So whatever is
Basic
mechanical,
stuff.
alloy wheels, seats, that those kind of things you can always do, but avoid getting into any electrical circuitry.
Okay. So next question is something about self-charging. Self-charging EV, is it possible to increase range and save charging time?
You need to be a little specific about what is self-charging. I presume self-charging is when you are charging off the solar panels by yourself. Is that what it means?
I don't know. That's what the question said, but I'll wait if there's a counter to that in terms of exact questioning. There's one more
Because
question
so
which.
let me anyway try and go ahead and answer that, because if the person wants a clarification, he can probably ping you again. So it's possible to do charging from solar panels mounted on the roof, but you need to have the EV charger and other things so that your car can therefore pull it off at the right voltage. But it's possible to do that.
Okay. One more interesting question which I don't understand at all. Any possibility of battery bunks to go loose? Bat Any possibility of battery bunks to give loose batteries as extra charge? I'll repeat
Uh,
the question.
okay.
Any possibility of battery bunks to
Uh-huh.
give loose batteries as extra charge?
No. I think I understand what the question is. So the participant wants to understand if we could offer loose batteries as extra for a certain extra charge. No, I don't.
Okay. Okay. One more question is from Chetan. He wants to know, would there be any impact on EV specifically post Corona, since some of the components it's a supply chain management issue has happened globally. So some parts might be coming from South Korea, China, or Japan. So does
From
that
affected
affect?
areas.
So yeah. So does that really affect your production in a way?
So supply lines for all automotive companies has been affected. I don't think we are in any manner uniquely affected or differently affected because of that. That's all that we can say at this point of time. And in terms of protection, I think we are taking all the protection to make sure that parts are quarantined and set aside before we assemble them on vehicles. So from a safety perspective, that shouldn't be a problem at all.
Okay, I'll take the last question of the day. This is from Pilot Shivam. and his question is solar panel or electromagnetic induction. Is it really feasible right now for India, or does it? What is the challenge?
So solar panel is feasible. Yes, there are people whom I know who are trying to reduce their entire carbon footprint to zero, including driving an electric vehicle that feeds not off the grid, but off the solar panel mounted on their roof, and they have battery storage systems on the floor, and they can pull off the entire energy. So they are absolutely green. Yeah, I
Okay.
have people whom I know, and they're fantastic. They're doing a great job. Uh, Electromagnetic charging, I think the concept exists. Uh, it can be used to charge batteries, whether batteries of such high capacity or not, whether on normal roads or only on certain circular routes as a technology concept, time will tell.
Okay. Anand, it was really good to have you today, and I think I learned a lot myself. Apart from the questions that we have come, that has taught me a lot, something new only today.
No,
And
Rachit, it is amazing. We are all locked down, and this way of interacting with all of you is fantastic. I've loved the session as well. So thank you very much for
thank
this
you.
session.
See you
I really
soon. Take
loved it.
care.
Okay,
Yeah.
take care. Bye
Bye.
bye.